Susie's in Hereford. Rebecca Jackson is there, motoring expert, racing driver, and Adrian Johnson from Just Stop Oil. Adrian. Hi, Adrian.
Hi. Good morning. Good morning, Nicky.
I don't know. I can get a little whiff of petrol about what you're going to say on this one. Go on, say it.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. I think probably I'd start by saying that, Just Stop Oil, we're not anti-driving, we're not anti-flying. We do have a demand with the government that they agree and sign an international legally binding treaty to end the extraction and burning of all fossil fuels, that's oil, coal and gas, by 2030. Now, as you might imagine, that's going to have a huge impact on the way that we do just about everything. But to repeat, we're not anti-driving.
Okay, so what should happen?
So what should happen is, I think...
You are the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Okay, yeah. So thank you. So what should happen is, if they go ahead with this and they sort of cancel the end, or they mark the end of the freeze of fuel duty for 10 years, then it's going to have some impact, but it's not going to have an immediate impact, and it's going to be so badly received for the following three reasons. First of all, it's completely regressive taxation, as in it is totally unfair, and it's probably going to hit those who can least afford it the worst. The second reason, there are few to none alternatives in place for us to use. So you talk about the person from Mortley having their buses. I live in rural Perthshire. Again, we have a bus on Tuesday, we have a bus on Thursday. Okay, but the third thing is this, and this is the most important thing, right? We need to have the facts given to us. We need the whole truth. And at the moment, we are not receiving it from the scientists. This morning, I don't know if you've had a chance to talk to a climate scientist, but it'd be really helpful to get that voice onto this kind of discussion. Okay, so I'm not a climate scientist, but I can give you a few things that they've said recently. So, for example, I think we are headed for major societal disruption within the next 5 years. Countries, will be overwhelmed by extreme event after extreme event. Food production will be disrupted. I could not feel greater despair over the future. And because we're not getting that kind of message clearly and unfiltered and undiluted, it makes it very difficult for us to understand why we are being unfairly hit by fuel going up.
I was speaking to a climate scientist who's a respected figure not so long ago who said that, I don't know, but said London will be uninhabitable by 2070. That aside, it's fuel for thought. That aside, what difference, how do people make a difference? By driving less? Because look at them. If there's a Trump presidency, all bets are off. We might as well just put up the white flag. You've been to America, I'm sure. You've made the journey from Perth to Pittsville.
No, I haven't. But anyway,
you know what it's like. The Hummers, the driving, the complete and utter disregard for what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, again, the point is, when people are given the facts, when we have informed deliberation, it happened back in 2019, yeah. So Extinction Rebellion brought the centre of London to a standstill, and as a result of that, the government gave us a climate assembly, People's Assembly. When people received the information directly from expert witnesses, and they were given the whole truth, they wanted to move faster, and they wanted to move deeper, because they understood it. And that's the thing that has to be in place. Because for me personally, right, my background is I taught physics in high schools for 30 years. If you show me a graph, it really speaks to me. And when I saw that graph of the temperature going literally off the scale, I knew that I needed to make changes in my own life. Okay, so personally, we have not owned a car for 11 years, and it has been wonderful. It's been so liberating. Okay, and I would recommend that to anybody. But I understand fully
for some people
it's not possible.
Impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is impossible because things are not in place. But again, to return to that thing, when we are given the information that within 5 years, for example, we're going to possibly be fighting wars over food and water because of the way things are going, then we are able to call upon our government to make the kind of radical transformation that needs to be in place. So, for example, things like free public transport, possibly even, for example, rationing, which is actually probably needed, necessary, and much fairer.
I get you. I mean, there will be people who are saying you're spot on. There will be people who are saying you're alarmist. But just quickly, and Susie in Hereford's about to come in, and Rebecca as well. We'll go with Susie in a second. So listen up, Susie. I'll be right with you. Politicians are very keen on saying, I'm going to level with you. I'm going to be completely honest with you here. Are they leveling with us or not?
No, and I'll give you another example. So, like 2 or 3 years ago, right, a man went on hunger strike for about a month in order to get MPs to be given an expert briefing on climate collapse. You know, only 60 MPs turned up. I wrote to my own MP before the briefing. I told him to get there. He wrote to me afterwards saying, "I'm sorry, I was too busy. I sent an assistant in my place." That's just not good enough. So it's either that they don't fully understand it or that they are too busy with other things, but they need to get that this is an absolute emergency. We need to get on a war footing. I hope I'm not being alarmist. I think I'm just being factual, yeah? And that's what the MPs, the government, need to be as well. They need to receive the facts, they need to pass those on to us and put us on a war.
Do you believe Ed Miliband believes what you're saying?
It's very interesting to read what Ed Miliband writes. I don't think he'll ever admit to this, but it looks like he listens and it looks like he reads Just Stop Oil's press releases. Yeah, he's one of our best spokespeople in that matter. Of course, he's never going to admit that for understandable political reasons. So yes, I would say largely he probably does get this, and he understands the urgency and the seriousness of the situation.
Wow.
But he's in a very, very difficult position.
Of course. Susie in Hereford. Good morning, Susie.
Morning.
Follow that one. Goodness, that was cheerful, wasn't it? Ooh.
I liked before. I thought he talked sense, actually, for a change.
Yeah, he was really
I just wanted to say, I'm a self-employed gardener. I am pro-truck. If the duty goes up, my job, I've got to put my money aside, which a lot of them are at their limits now.